Welcome back to Old War Stories with Uncle Jay. This one is entitled, Wait a Minute, That's My Paper. So this was back when I was in college. I was in this class, don't remember what it was, I don't remember what we learned, but we had these reports that we had to do. Every week we had a report, and it wasn't a big deal. It was like a 5, 6, 7 page report. It wasn't a huge, like 20 something page term paper or anything like that. It was a basic thing, but it still ended up being like 5, 6 pages. So there were a lot of ways that you could make it less than it appeared. But anyway, for this particular one, it involved doing some research instead of just hypothetical, theoretical, speak what's on your mind opinion kind of shit. I don't know exactly. I can't even remember what the damn class was called. But there was this kid in there, and he's one of those, like, I don't give a shit about anyone type of people. If he was in a good mood, you could get along with him. You kind of agree with him, and you could definitely get along with this guy. You could definitely go out drinking with this guy, but you wouldn't want to piss him off because he had a really dark, bad side. You didn't want to cross that path. And it came to, I mean, you were on your toes with him, but he was, otherwise you could get along with him. So we did. And in whatever building this was, a different building from the computer building that I was mainly in for most of my classes in college, it was in this other building, and they did have a computer lab in there. But they didn't have the higher end stuff. So we needed to go on the internet, and we had high speed internet. It wasn't that high speed, it was high speed enough, and you could get things done. And I think Windows XP was still king. This was in the early 2000s, somewhere in there. Maybe it was Windows 2000 we ran, something. But you got online and you searched stuff out, and that was that. So when you went to print, because this was not the computer building, like I said, they didn't have the more advanced later stuff. They had the leftovers, the older equipment that still worked. There were 15 to 20 computers in this room and one black and white HP LaserJet 3 printer. I think it was a LaserJet 3. I don't know. Something. It was one of the old ones. And the quality wasn't that great, but we were really printing text mostly. But in these days, when you go on the web, when you print stuff, it's WYSIWYG, or what you see is what you get. So everything is a graphics page. Even the text is graphics. It's rendered as such. And in the day when this laser printer was new, you were still sending plain, straight text a lot of times to the printer and using its built-in fonts. And the printer was rated to print it up to 8 pages per minute. Oh, well, 8 pages per minute is slow. Okay, we're talking, I don't know, 7.5 seconds a page? I think I actually did that math right. Or close. So it wasn't fast, but if you had 3 pages, you were there for 25 seconds. There was virtually no processing time for text. The printer had a light on it that would flash, and that was about all you had. I think it was a LaserJet 3, but it was certainly like an 8 page per minute kind of deal. And then the printer would start up. So all the motors would start going, and the fan would run, and it would take a page, ka-cha, cha, and you'd have your first page. And then your second page would follow. And your third page would follow. But then when you throw graphics in the mix, it doesn't work that way. For text, it was maybe passable, where you had a wait of 15 seconds a page before it would print it. And it fortunately would continue processing as the rest of the printer was actually printing the page out. So the printer would keep receiving the data and processing what this image on the page is going to look like. So pretty much what would happen is you'd wait about 15 seconds and that light would just blink at you. And then the printer would start up, in about 7.5 seconds a page or so, it would shit the page out, but the light was still flashing and it was still processing. So then it would actually shut everything down for, I don't know, another 7-10 seconds, something like that. And then the next page would go. And if you were sending it 3 or 4, 5 pages, it wasn't really that bad. It was tolerable, because if you're sitting at a computer way over here and the printer's way over there, when you hit print and then you hit OK, by the time you said, all right, I guess let me go to the printer and get the printout, and, by the time you get up from your desk and it's class, so you're not in any rush, you get up and then you wander over to the printer and you wait for the last 2 pages, you get your shit and you sit back down. But when you had 20 computers and everybody sending pages and pages and pages to the printer, well, one kid sent a thing, it was only like 5 pages, but it actually had like pictures in it. Holy shit, we're waiting for like 30 seconds, 40 seconds before the printer would shit a page out. So now we got a line of 3-4 people crowded around this ancient printer, waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting for this fucking print job, in the hopes that the next one was yours. And if it wasn't, it was the girl standing next to you, and then you had to wait for her print job, and you just need your shit so you can go back and figure out how the fuck you're going to write this report. Sit there with a highlighter or circle things or whatever you did. You printed it out, and then, because if you wouldn't be copying and pasting stuff, we didn't have flash drives much. There were floppies maybe, but none of us had any, and you didn't want to put stuff that other people wrote, because that's called plagiarism. Remember that stealing from one is plagiarism. Stealing from many is research. So that's what we did. We researched it, stole from many. But you wouldn't, you'd kind of have to put that into your own words if you've been in a collegiate course as such. Pardon me a second there. So we're waiting and waiting. So anyway, this kid that I was talking about before, that you didn't want to get on his bad side, we got people standing around the printer, 3-4 people now, waiting for this old printer. And it turns out that he sent, I think, a 16-page job to the printer. None of us really were that concerned that he had a 16-page job, and the way the pages came out of the printer, you couldn't see what was on there, so you couldn't see page 3 of 16 or anything. Well, the teacher saw all of us standing there, and his print job, for whatever reason, was cranking along as fast as the printer could really do it. And she lifted up whatever the last page was, and it said page 3 of 16. And the printer is like churning out the pages one at a time, and we're all just waiting for our damn print jobs. And she saw all of us waiting there and kind of understood, but it's what we had. But she saw 16 pages, and she said to the kid, "Oh, come on, don't waste all their paper." And she walked away. And the kid said, "Wait a minute, that's my paper. I paid tuition here. I can use as much fucking paper as I want." I'll never forget that. Wait a minute, that's my paper. He was so right. He was so right. I can't, even to this day. That was great. I'll never forget that. But anyway, that was it for this one. So thank you very much for watching. Make sure you click like, make sure you click subscribe, and take care. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.